Welcome back, everybody. Once again, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. Happy Friday. We're here with my guest, John Bussa, who just opened Space Station Prospect.
That would be me, yeah.
That would be the guy with the Space Station shirt on. He looks like he's from outer space a little bit.
I can't get the Space Station. There we go.
Yeah, the camera, it's always flipped. So
yeah,
I do the same thing. I'm like, hi. I'm like,
come
I
on.
go the wrong way.
Get
I'm
in
out
there.
of frame. I'm like, one day I'll get
I
this.
got to advertise, man.
So one of the newest business along the Prospect of Strip in Windsor Terrace, Brooklyn, where we reside.
That is
where
right.
My wife grew up.
Yes,
I've been for a while and had some businesses actually. So his spot is adjacent, same landlord and building to my restaurant Della, 1238 Prospect. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, please, because it works for me too.
I know,
so
I know.
go for it.
I never. You get the chance at the end. So they can put two and two together at the end. If they can find your place,
but please plug your place because it just works for both of us. Yeah.
So it's a 4-unit building on Prospect Ave. We've been in Della for a little over 4 years, and it was a dry cleaners there.
Yeah.
Well, not even. It was like a drop-off spot.
Right. Yeah.
For decades.
Yep. Yep.
And they left. I don't know. It's been about 2 years now.
I think 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And it was empty for a while. A few people, like one guy came through and was going to open up a coffee shop and started ripping a bunch of sheetrock and stuff out. Then he disappeared. Then it was going to be an animal shelter, and I was like, oh God, no! Right next to a restaurant, it's gonna be fucking terrible. It's gonna smell like old food and dog shit. And
that would not be a good combo right there.
Not pumped about that.
Yeah.
And then you guys just like slipped in. I didn't even hear about it. But, so I ended up with a show on this network because I was interviewed on another show on the network, Rediscovering New York with Jeff, what's his last name? Goodman, Jeff Goodman. I can't believe I forgot that. And he does basically a virtual walking tour. Oh, he does a physical walking tour of neighborhoods throughout New York City. He's a Halstead real estate agent. But his show just is about different neighborhoods, and sometimes he'll do like cemeteries or bridges, but like spots in New York. And so last summer he was doing Windsor Terrace, and he contacted a lady that we both know, and she was like, I got a guy that really is involved in the community. So I came on the show, and he was talking to me about all the stuff I've got going on in Windsor Terrace. And he was like, what else? He's like, I get the feeling you would do something else there. There's some vacant storefronts. Like what else does the neighborhood need? And I was like, man, you know what? The space next to Della is empty. I was like, you know what we really don't have that like I think is quintessential to every Brooklyn neighborhood is a tattoo parlor. He was like, oh, would you do? I was like, I don't know anything about tattoos. I was like, I like to get them, but I don't know anything about doing it. But I was like, it was funny because on the train on the way here for that show, I literally like left the restaurant and I just looked over at the spot and I was like, man, what's going to happen here?
Right.
And I was like, tattoo parlor. That was great. I think I had just gotten one. So maybe it was like fresh in mind or something like that. But
right. Well, I mean, we could always still do it. Like, it's fine. I'm always looking to bring in new ideas.
Teach the kids.
We'll teach the kids how to do tattoos. We'll make it like a video game sort of thing.
That was like, and so when you were like, oh, it's going to be games. I was like, yeah.
Not a tattoo.
There's still the old Butterfunk spot though.
There is, maybe that can do it.
I was talking to, do you know Mike O'Neill that owns Adirondack across the street?
I not really know.
They've got a bunch of spots. He actually might be on the show next week. He's going to come on soon. But we were talking about just the strip and what's vacant. And so right now it's just the old Butterfunk spot.
Right.
And he was like, we need a barbershop. And I was like, oh, that could be cool too. It's got to be a front for something else. But that's the only way it'll survive.
I always wanted to open up like a barber shop. Like a bar next to a barber shop, and then you just like go like drink your beers and get your hair cut, and then
you
go
could
back
see where that could go.
It would go horribly bad.
That's a really bad haircut.
Listen, I had a lot of ideas in my 20s,
then the barbers start drinking,
right?
And someone gets cut, and it's like
or they give like these amazing new haircuts, and there you find like the newest trends come from these like completely whacked out barbers. You never know, man. You never know.
You first.
I don't have much up there to try. we could give it a shot.
Some beard sculpting going on though.
Yeah.
Give me a little envy. Anyways, back to the regularly scheduled program.
Oh, of course.
So you got 3 master's degrees.
I did. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And you were a teacher for how long?
I was a teacher for like almost 20 years altogether.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
So you quit just before the big payout.
No, because I wasn't in the DOE. I was in private school, so I got no payout. Yeah, no, they took from me, right? Like every time I see like.
So where did you teach at?
I taught at Bishop Ford for like the longest time. I did. Yeah, yep. Yeah, I went to high school at Bishop Ford, and then I went back And I taught there for like 12 years.
Last name ends in a vowel.
Yeah, that was.
It's funny. I haven't read about your family in the news yet.
Yeah.
We
use different names.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Jimmy Fingers. So when did that close? 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 5 years ago now.
And they were just like, bye-bye. Thank you for everything.
I mean, I could get into it. I could explain
you don't have
it.
to.
I don't think I need to. It was conducting business at a loss, and the diocese figured out that they could make more money by renting out the space, so they did.
I hear you.
And then they fixed up that building really nice, which is such a shame.
I think they had to. Now they were like, oh, you want to bring like city kids in here, like tax-paying city kids?
I will tell you this: when I taught there, I taught in on the third floor, like tucked in the corner, and every time it like rained or snowed, I had like no ceiling. It was just like new ceiling tiles would fall down. And
the asbestos was just like blinking in, like green news. Yeah, but that's
now it's completely fixed.
That's what makes you so strong.
Yeah, sure.
So but your degrees would have certified you to teach public?
So I got certified in PACE. I went back and I after Bishop Ford was like done, I was like, you know what, let me get certified and we'll go into the public schools. So I got certified and I went to the public schools for a little bit.
Okay. And you were like, oh hell no.
No, I liked it, man. I worked at a place that was really nice, and all the kids, all administration, teachers, everybody was really good. But the problem is, you just, especially I don't know how it is for people that like aren't in tech, but like if you know stuff about tech, you get like drawn into now dealing with all of the tech.
Right.
So like I was teaching like all of these different classes, and then I also
the administrators were like, hell.
Yeah. I was like in charge of like all of the tech that was in the building as well, and it was just like not fair for anybody. Like, it wasn't fair for the administrators. Wasn't fair for me.
Not getting compensated any extra.
Yeah, no, you're not really getting compensated. It was like I have my one little prep where I'm like the tech coordinator, and that's just not. You couldn't do it. It was so frustrating, like to have to watch.
It's a full-time gig.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. So I was like, listen, I need to either be like tech coordinator or I need to be out. And they were like, yep, you're out. So we can't do it that way, which I totally appreciate too. Like they got their own rules and stipulations as to what they have to cover. They needed a teacher instead of a coordinator,
and that's why there's no elevators.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, good for you. And so that almost pushed you into a corner where you were like, to make a decision.
Yeah, I went to another place and I worked there like kind of like behind the scenes, sort of like
was it a school or
another private school? Yeah. And I worked like schedule building and running like their grading systems and all that stuff. So I got to learn that, and then I started like building classrooms, building like labs and classrooms. I got to learn how that all works and stuff. So that was cool. And then I taught over the summer. But my program started to reach a point where like I started to realize that I needed to break away from what I was doing in the schools. I needed to kind of just go my own way and see what I could do with it. Especially I'd started to see that the direction that I had started going in 10 years ago seemed to become this the way that things were going around the city. People were opening up these places that looked very similar to what I was doing in the classroom for so long. So I was like, that's great. Like I should absolutely try to do that myself. And every time I talk to people about it, they're like, yes, that's knowing you, that is definitely what you should do.
Nice.
So that's what eventually I decided.
So
to
aside from the organized crime background of your family,
again, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
Did anybody else in your family, were there like small business owners that you had, like?
My grandfather owned a florist.
Cool.
Yeah, my grandfather owned a florist on Church Avenue, actually.
Yeah,
it's a long time ago.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then I have my cousin. For some reason we have florists in my family. I'm not really sure what that.
Well, you gotta put some on the bodies.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. There's been some small businesses.
Getting to know you very well.
Yeah. You think.
That's awesome, though. Same for me. My grandfathers were both, they own their own businesses. My parents never did, but I at least got to see that.
Yeah. My father came close a couple of times too, so it was good for me to be able to do this.
No, that's great. No, it sounds like you had a really, an interesting but productive like self-awareness journey through all that, and got good feedback from people.
Wow, you just made me feel really good about myself. Thank you.
I'm just trying to protect myself, honestly. I'm just gonna kill you with kindness for the rest of the show, so I make it out of the room.
I'm good with that. You totally killed me.
What's up, Mauricio? That's another guy.
Hello there.
He changed at the dojo.
Yeah.
Two amazing sons. I don't know if they're into games or not. They're really good at martial arts. So they might.
You should play games too, kids.
Check it out. Well, they're like his youngest is a freshman in college.
Oh, okay.
And the other one's a few years older. But they teach there. They're amazing. These guys with a bow staff.
Right.
Fantastic.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, get some like martial arts simulators in there.
My cousin actually owned the business. He was a Sifu, Wing Chun Kung Fu.
Really?
Yeah.
In Brooklyn?
Manhattan and Brooklyn. Yeah. He was all over the place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that going as well. Yeah. I took his class a couple of times.
Cool.
But
you were like, we just use guns. So what was the transition like from like realizing I don't want to do this anymore? I got this other thing. People are like, yes, you should do this thing. It's kind of hot right now. Stuff like this is springing up all over Brooklyn. What was the transition like? Did you work a little bit still and start to get the thing going? Or were you just like, peace, I'm out of here, Jerry Maguire style, and ate canned beans for like 3 months? It
was kind of Jerry Maguire style.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. I like that.
Just like out.
See, I do the rocket ship emoji. It was serendipity. It had
right.
I could feel it. I was like, this dude, there's something about him.
Out.
You were just like, peace. And then you hit the ground and you were like, shit.
I haven't hit the ground yet. I'm falling.
Okay,
so I'm falling, but it's falling so far you feel like you're flying.
It's like Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Free fall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Out into nowhere.
Yeah. Awesome. So how long before, what was the timeline like from I'm out of my job to getting the doors open?
About 6 months to a year. Yeah, it wasn't like crazy long, but like in terms of it, like once I found the place and we moved into it, we was like, that's it, we're doing it.
And you were already living in Windsor Terrace.
Yeah, I was already living in Windsor Terrace. Yeah, I was already over there. So I watched Windsor Terrace, especially Prospect Avenue. Man, what's amazing, like growing up in the area. I watched that place. I always tell people like, I remember when it was just like the dry cleaner and a Domino's pizzeria and like the video rental. And that was like it, and then like to watch it slowly develop the way that it had was really cool. And then like, you see like there's these restaurants and then there's the dojo and there's that. And I'm like, you know what? The thing that I'm thinking of would be perfect there too.
Absolutely.
Like, why don't I give it a shot and see what happens?
To be honest, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah. Good.
If it was a bar,
right.
If it was a restaurant,
right. Yeah.
If it was a wine store or martial arts school,
right.
it'd be trouble.
None of those things. Yeah.
No,
we didn't need a deli. We didn't need any of that stuff.
Exactly.
No,
I think it's great. And tapping into like what the neighborhood is about, which is definitely like there's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
There's tons of kids. We'll get a little further into what you actually offer, but it definitely surrounds that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it seemed to me like a perfect fit.
Yeah, I agree.
The fact that it's like a walking distance from my house doesn't hurt either. I got spoiled by Bishop Ford. I worked at Bishop Ford, and that was just.
Dude, I'm just saying. The last time I took the train for work was like 2008.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. No, when I worked the public school job, I took the train, and that was it was only like to Bergen Street, and I was like, oh man, come on, I gotta do this again.
I hear you. Well, now I do it once a week, and I don't mind this.
Yeah.
It's like nostalgic, and I get to read again. I'm like, I got books. Got refamiliarized with books.
Yeah, that's good. Books, right?
They're great. All right, we're gonna take another short break, everybody. We'll be back in just a few.